From this point on, my life is changing and I can feel it. My body feels more energized, my heart isn't under a constant pain, and my spirit, the thing that hungered for something that I couldn't name, has now been fed. Out of all these things, my spirit is the most important. It longs and aches for God, to feel His presence and to reach for Him with these dirty hands. Knowing that I have sinned is something that's breathtaking and utterly indescribable. As this new year began, I made a promise to myself that I would make time to sit and listen. To listen for His voice and His reassurance that while this life is hard, it's made to be enjoyed. The first of these quiet nights started with my confessions. I began to tell God everything that was weighed on my shoulders, the burden that each day brought, and the constant placement of myself on the ground. Just began to describe how I felt myself falling apart, my feet on shaky ground. It was as if any day the roof and the shelter that I had built up around me would collapse and I would be crushed, unable to move, and let alone breathe. I told Him how I regretted telling myself things when I looked in the mirror, things the devil wanted me to believe and wanted me to see in myself. And I realized how wrong I was. I felt myself losing control of my life. I was absolutely wrecked in that moment because I didn't realize how much pain had been stored inside of me from going day to day to day, pretending to be all right. It wasn't until I opened up the gate around my heart and let the water flow. It felt as if the rapids of my tears just would never stop. And then there was silence. I now find it amusing how I used to hate the silence and I would count the seconds until someone broke it. But after these 21 days, I've realized that it's one of my favorite things. Because while the silence for me was violent, I have found that it's in the silence you hear your spirit's loudest cry. The cry that God put there, but is constantly clouded and muffled by the noise of life, all the stress, all the pain, and it takes absolute silence to bring it out. I waited, my breathing uneven, and my tears no longer falling because I had run out of them. I didn't know what God's voice sounded like. Was it a loud boom, a quiet whisper, or would He use my own voice? I can honestly say I wasn't expecting what I heard next. There was nothing. No voice, no visions, just me and the creaking in the roof of my house. The same creaking that annoyed me night after night when I tried to sleep. I attempted to block it out because I desperately needed to hear God, but the creaking only echoed in the corners of my mind, as if my mind could only focus on that and nothing else. I nearly gave up. Then it hit me. Could the creaking mean something? So I asked God, if the creaking is something you're trying to speak to me through, could you make it stop only for a few minutes so that I know it's not just the wind blowing again? And sure enough, it stopped. Never had it stopped before. And that's when He spoke. I am your stability and the structure, just like the frame of this house and the bones in your body. I will protect you, shelter you, and keep you safe when the world, my daughter, people will try and hurt, break you, and you may feel alone, but I will never allow them to completely destroy you. Sometimes the roof just needs to break so that the barrier keeping you from seeing me and reaching for me is not in the way. It will rain and you will get soaked, but you are not dead. I've seen you struggle and I've seen your heart, and I can promise that I will never let you go. This house that you built will sometimes falter, but I will never. Everything that you're not, I am. I don't know what encounters you've had with God or if you've yet to have any, but everyone's is different. I find it amazing how God can use anything to speak to your situation. Mine was the creak in the roof of my house that I constantly blocked out. And now I realize that was a symbolism for me blocking out God when I tried to go through it alone. And I can tell you now that going to bed hearing that no longer agitates me. It soothes me because I know He is and always will be my strength and my stability. And He can be yours too. All you have to do is listen.